Boom shakalaka. Today's video, I'm joined by expert NFT investor Dvir from CryptoFOMO. He has made a lot of money in NFTs recently, and he's going to break it down for us completely. Plus, we'll be talking about Cardano and Ethereum and having a good old-fashioned time, so you'll definitely want to stay tuned. What's up, everyone? I am joined today by Dvir from CryptoFOMO. What's going on, Dvir?
Hey, what's up, everyone? Glad to be here. Glad to talk to you again, bro. And it's good to be back. Yeah, the market hasn't been disappointing the last few weeks. It's been fun. Good to know we're not going to zero at the end. Not today, not tomorrow. So far, so good.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely been a turnaround since the last time we spoke on this channel. And I'm excited to talk because not only were you pretty spot on for your predictions for Cardano and Ethereum, but also I hear you've been getting into NFTs and making quite a hefty little profit from them.
Yeah, so just a bit of a background. What I've done the last few months is I think in March when Gary Vee was talking about CryptoPunks pretty big and we saw a lot of hype, I kind of had an aha moment with CryptoPunks, and I actually FOMOed a lot of my capital into them a few months back, roughly at around 20 Ether per punk. And I think since then, they roughly, I think, did like a 5x versus the US dollar. They did like more than a double versus Ethereum. They've done really well. And it's pretty much like my best performing non-VC investment, which was really cool. And then also, so we can talk about the thesis for that. And then also on this drop, I actually bought a lot more ETH right around the bottom, just below 2K. So I was really happy with that. I also opened a little bit of leverage at the bottom as well, just 2x, nothing serious. I'm very light in that sense. So those are my plays that I'm happy with. Obviously, we have a lot of missed opportunities. A lot of things I wish I bought more, maybe went more into Polygon, Solana, like early in the year. But of course, hindsight is 2020. So you're not going to get most things, at least that's for me. But I feel like I like to have the sniper approach where I go from something I'm really confident that it's going to work. And I'm much more careful with losing money than I am excited with making money. So I'm always trying to make sure that I don't lose any ETH. Basically, that's kind of like the base of my portfolio is I'm trying to outperform ETH and not lose ETH. And I'm very happy that I've been able to do that. And I guess we can start with the thesis for the CryptoPunks, right? Or why I kind of had that moment, right?
I just
So
before
basically,
we get into that, I just want to say that your strategy there is awesome, and I've heard it. I think it was like Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett, who said the same thing. He's like, "There's two rules to making money. One, don't lose any money. Two, refer to rule number one."
yeah, exactly. And then like for me, it's like don't lose any Ethereum, right? Because in the crypto world, like the definition of money is different. And I said it on Twitter. I said that long term, it's hard to outperform Bitcoin, but it's even harder to outperform Ethereum. And I think that that's definitely been the case for me, where I think like I've tried to outperform Ethereum since almost a year now, and that's been kind of like a wiser choice, kind of focusing on ETH and not BTC. So the thesis with CryptoPunks was basically, okay, let's start from first principles, right? What's the perfect investment? The perfect investment would be something that you buy that has a 100% chance of success. You know that if it's going to succeed, you're going to, million X, like 1,000X your money, right? And yeah, and it's going to happen fast, right? Those are pretty much like the time, the profit, and then the chances of success, right? So if you think about that from first principles, for me, like CryptoPunks looked pretty ideal in the sense because CryptoPunks was the first NFT collection on Ethereum. And no matter how many good projects, you can create like a million projects on top of Ethereum for NFTs or even other NFT under networks, right? Like Solana or Cardano create other NFT projects, but you could never take that away from CryptoPunks. They're the first collection. And if you study collecting stuff and all that, which I'm no expert in, you just know that the most valuable collection is always the first edition one. So in that sense, I thought, so I knew that as long as the NFT industry will grow, we're going to have value accrue to the store of value, kind of like the first edition, which is CryptoPunks. So for me, I thought that if NFT industry will grow, what are the chances the CryptoPunk will grow? I thought that was like 100% or very high to that. And then also I thought that what are the chances that NFTs are going to do well? And I thought like 100% as well, like this is not going anywhere. This was very clear. And then I had this aha moment where CryptoPunks have been outperforming ETH for like the last few years, and like by like milestones, right? And then I FOMOed into them. And after I bought them, by the way, I had this it's funny, like for me, it's all about strong conviction. And I had this amount of conviction in punks. I had it only in Bitcoin and Ethereum and Binance Coin. Those are the only coins that I ever had such a conviction in. And by the way, in Binance Coin, I had a conviction in 2019, but I wasn't that confident in myself. So I kind of paper-handed sold my BNB like pretty early on. So that was kind of like, I had the conviction, but I didn't have the confidence, I guess, in myself, in my judgment. And it was like a bear market and I was just trying to survive. So CryptoPunks really was unique to me, where I was like, wow, I have a really strong conviction in this. This is a really good sign when I have that. So that's when I went pretty big into it. And then also Gary Vee had a lot of conviction in that. And Gary Vee is like really good. He was like at the internet, like in e-commerce in 1996. He was an early investment in a bunch of social networks, like very early in the days. He has a really good sense for like what's going to come. So I saw that. I saw a few other smart people were bullish on CryptoPunks, and I followed in. So that was my thesis. And I didn't see a reality where CryptoPunks don't do well. And I think that CryptoPunks right now, the floor is something like $140,000. I think the floor is going to be $1 million like later this year. And I think that long term, I think my thesis for CryptoPunks, I don't really have a way to kind of measure it, but I think just based on a hunch right now, the floor is like 40 ETH. I think the floor is going to be like at least 100 ETH in the coming years. And this is a big thing because I think ETH will go to like 6-7 figures in the next decade or so. So I think that like basically like the cheapest CryptoPunk is going to be something like, how much is that? It's like $10 million to like 50, 100 million bucks in the next decade. So I think I could be wrong on this a little bit, like one order of magnitude, like maybe it'll be like, like 10% of that, but still like it's going to be a lot more valuable than it is today. And it just became obvious that it's a historical piece because CryptoPunks is something that everyone understands. And not many people understand DeFi, not many people understand Ethereum, but everyone can understand like the first NFT collection. Like everyone can get that. And especially once you see like Snoop Dogg and like celebrities doing NFTs, everyone's going to understand, like all the normies are going to understand crypto. And they're going to want to get NFTs. They want to do it. And then you could tell them like, I have the first NFT collection. So it's kind of like, no matter what they do, you're kind of almost like, you always have something better. So I thought that this was a really good way to get exposure to that. Yeah, so right now I have a good chunk of my portfolio in CryptoPunks. I think it's like 13% or something, or maybe even more. I'm not sure. It's really illiquid, it's hard to tell. If I think, by the way, when I bought CryptoPunks, they dropped 40% versus ETH. Since I bought them, something like that, I just held. I could have bought more. I just didn't have enough conviction, and I kind of FOMO'd too hard in the beginning. So I didn't want to like go into illiquid JPEGs too much. So yeah, I was just being risk averse, but so I just held on to them. And then now I'm waiting for maybe if we get another 40% drop or something like if we get CryptoPunks dropping to 30 ETH, like I'll definitely buy at least another one. Right now the floor is like 42 ETH. So I think 35 ETH, 30 ETH is where I'm looking to kind of buy the dip. And by the way, the all-time high for the floor price was around 55 ETH. So right now we're at around 42 ETH. So we're down roughly 25%. So I'm looking for like a 40% dip, something like that before buying. And I'm okay if I never buy again, if I miss out. So it's kind of like my thesis for CryptoPunks. And it's funny because I share that with my clients, and I think only 2 of my clients actually bought CryptoPunks because it's so weird. It was so weird back in like 4 or 5 months back. It was so strange to buy CryptoPunks. And very few people get it. And if you think about it, you always need that mindset shift when you go from like, people trade stocks and then they go into like tech, and then you have like tech, like websites, like what's the point of it back in the 90s, right? And then after that, you have Bitcoin, and then people are like, what's Bitcoin? It's so weird, it's so strange. And after that, you have Ethereum, and people are like, what's Ethereum? It's so strange. And then after that, you have altcoins, and people are like, oh, it's all scam. And then after that, you have NFTs, and people are like, what? JPEGs? Get out of here, And then you always need that 0 to 1 mindset shift. Like it's not going to be an incremental change. It's going to be an entirely new change. It's going to be an order of magnitude different. And I think the smartest investors are the one that grasp this change. And there's very few people that can do it. Like if you look at the DeFi space, like there's a lot of people that are super smart and they missed out on NFTs. There's like, for example, Tetranode, there's like this whale on Twitter is like, I think is worth 8 figures at least. And he missed out on NFTs, and he's a super smart guy. He understands DeFi like 10 times better than I do. And he got DeFi, right? Whereas he didn't get NFTs. So I think you always need that perspective shift. And I think that's why so many people missed out on NFTs. Kind of interesting stuff, huh?
So 2 things that I think is a really very interesting thesis. And So two questions. One question is there still opportunity? But I want to come back to that one first. Still opportunity NFTs. The first thing I wanted to ask, so like I'm having a difficult time bridging that gap going from 0 to 1. Because like I look back, I'm not much of a collectible type of person. And I get it, like different people are different collectibles. But to me, I can see like Magic the Gathering revised edition, like a Singer Vampire, a Sarah Angel, or a Shivan Dragon, one of these cards being worthwhile if it's in mint condition, or like a Mickey Mantle baseball card being valuable if it's in mint condition. My mind is having a hard time kind of computing this JPEG that's an NFT being different from this JPEG, which is just everywhere all over the internet totally for free. So like, am I seeing it incorrectly, or is there something that helps to kind of bridge that gap?
Yeah, so it's a good question. So the way I explain it to people is like, imagine you have two basketballs, and one of them is like a normal basketball, and one of them is like signed by Michael Jordan. It was the basketball that he threw the shot where he won the last game. I don't know if you noticed, but Michael Jordan, the last game he played, he actually threw like a 3-pointer in the last second and he won the game. Like there was some crazy moment there that he finished his career with a bang, right? So you think about those NFTs and like all art, it's not like the art itself, it's what it symbolizes, right? So until now, we used to symbolize that in a physical manner. It's like, here's this ball, right? Here's this signed t-shirt. But now we just symbolize it with digital things. And then people that don't live in the digital world, it's a bit hard for them to grasp that. But I think people that are like nerds and stuff, I think like us, like we do kind of grasp that because we spend so much time online. And I also think like the physical world really sucks. I think the digital world has a lot of advantages. So in some ways, like I like digital collectibles more than I like physical ones. So I'm a collector myself. Like I never collected anything, but I saw like Pokemon cards and I was like, oh shit, like I want to collect those. Like those look dope. I never did, but like now in hindsight, like if I get bored, if I have some free time, which is not the case right now, but if I had free time, like I would be curious to like spend like a few $100 on like Pokemon cards. Like I would do that. I think that would be cool. But for me, like I'm semi-nomadic, I travel a lot. So having like digital NFTs is much better. It's much easier. And they're just better in every sense. Like they're much more liquid. Like you can sell them all over the world. Whereas Pokemon cards, you need to find someone in your community. Like my buddy, he has like some chains, like a gold chain or something. I mean, selling that in the real world is such a headache. Whereas online, like if it was like a digital NFT, like it would have had to maybe sell like 5% cheaper than the market price just to get liquidity instantly, but he would have gotten it. So I think there's so many problems with that. And if you think about that, we spend more and more, if you look at it over the last like 50 years, like we spend more and more time in the digital world and less time in the physical world, because the physical world is improving, but like the digital world is improving much, much faster. And even now with COVID, you can make the argument that the physical world now sucks more. It's actually declining. Like the physical world 3 years ago was actually much better than the physical world right now. So you just see like these trends of like digital world going up and a physical world going down. And then you also combine that with the understanding that the metaverse and like virtual reality is coming in like 10 years from now or wherever it's going to come. And you get the understanding that those digital collectibles are going to be physical in the digital world. They're going to be like, you're going to play with them, like you're going to feel them, like you're going to have an avatar and all that. And I think that like for me, like I was thinking about buying like an expensive watch like a few months ago, and I wasn't going to do that. But I just feel like I would be really concerned with someone stealing that. Like that's something, like I have a friend who bought a watch for like $50,000, went to Spain and Europe, someone stole it and boom, right? And it sucks. It's like 50K just gone like this. And if it was a digital collectibles, you wouldn't have had to worry about that security as much. So I think there's a lot of things to it. And just understand the most important point, just understand that always art, it's not about the art, it's about what it symbolizes and what's behind it and what moment it captures, right? So and then I think that makes it easier for people to understand, because you could have two t-shirts and they're totally identical, but one of them was the t-shirt that Michael Jordan wore or something like that, and that's what makes it unique. So that uniqueness, it could be physical, but it could also be digital, right? Does that make sense, you think?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I like what you say about the virtual world, the metaverse getting better than the real world. It reminds me a lot of the that series Ready Player One and Ready Player Two, how the world was just garbage and they had this whole like metaverse that everybody lived in. And it seems kind of like that's where we're headed, especially with COVID.
Dude, it sucks. Like, it really sucks. And I think that yeah, like right now, like with regulations and governors and like rulers, I feel like they're the main problem. I feel like COVID is only half the problem. I think the problem is amplified by bad governance around the world. And guess where we have good governance? In the digital world. We're much more sovereign there. So naturally that's where we go.
Yeah,
So very,
that's
very
a good
interesting
point.
stuff. And then also, yeah, what was your first question as
So
well?
my first question was, does opportunity still exist? So you're talking about how, with CryptoPunks, they could be worth like $1 to $10 million a piece in the next 5-10 years, something like that. So it seems like if they're less than that now, then opportunity still exists there. Is that opportunity worth pursuing, or is it worthwhile pursuing opportunity elsewhere in NFTs? What's your feeling on that?
Sure. Okay. So first of all, I think CryptoPunks will hit $1 million like floor price. I think it'll happen later this year or like early next year. I think it's very close. I think we're just, yeah, I think we're very close to it, closer than people realize. And how to make money. So right now we have a lot of hype in NFTs, and you just feel that. Like I open my Twitter feed and everyone's like talking about NFTs and everybody's like penguins and all that. So I would say that for me, as someone who's like, dude, I want to make so much money on NFTs, just like all of us. I feel like I have my collections that I look at that I'm waiting for them to go down, and we can talk about them later as well. But I'm not buying right now because there's all this froth right now in the market. So even within the NFT, so I'm always trying to buy low and sell high. I'm always trying to buy fear, boredom, desperation, depression. This is going to zero. That's always what I'm trying to buy. I'm not trying to buy like, oh, the celebrity just went into CryptoPunks. Like I'm not trying to buy that froth. I'm not trying to buy those days where everybody FOMOs into something. And right now, I feel like with CryptoPunks, like we're closer to the greed than we are to the fear. And I'm already positioned. So I will say, if I wasn't positioned, I would probably buy NFTs right now. If I had no NFTs, I'll buy some now, and then later I would wait to see if we get a drop, and then I'll buy more if we get that drop. So for basically, like I'll break down the question as two ways. It's like when to buy and what to buy, right? That's the question that we basically want to know. Now the when is 80% of the equation. The when is more important than the what. And so that's what I focus on the most. So for me, I'm looking for those drops. I'm looking for like, what was the all-time high price? What's the current price right now? I'm looking for drops of like 50%. I'm looking for stuff like that. I want to see blood basically. And right now I feel like inside the NFT, so the NFT space as a whole right now is in a bubble, but inside the NFT space, you have things that are not in a bubble that people kind of forgot about. So for example, Beeple, he did an NFT drop like 7 months ago or something. No, wait, it was like 5 months ago in March. And a lot of those NFTs have actually went down in price. They were selling for like 70 ETH. Right now they're selling for like 20 ETH, right? So they're down a lot. So there might be some opportunity there, although it's a bit risky as well. Like, so I think, okay, so now we go into the question. So inside the NFT space, I will look for things that are in mini bear cycles, right? So I look for assets that are not pumping that much. But it's still risky because if they're selling right now for 20 ETH during the froth, once the NFT bear market or we have a bigger correction, they could sell for 10 ETH. So that's why it's still risky. That's why I'm still not buying, because we might have that drop here. So that's about the timing, right? You always want to look for that correctness. And inside the NFT space, like once everything is pumping, it's just much more hard and it might not even be there. Like I said, if I think 20%, 20 ETH is cheap, it might drop to 10 ETH. So it's hard to say. So that's the timing. So long story short, it's risky now and a lot of froth. Everyone's talking about it. Like people aren't talking about DeFi right now, right? So DeFi possibly have a lot of opportunities right now that people aren't tapping into. So that's the timing question. Now, which collection question? I think that's pretty easy to answer. I think you want to look for things that have some historical significance. You want to look for badges of attendance. So if you buy, like for example, I have some NFTs that like when EAP 1559 for Ethereum and the protocol was being built, an artist that symbolizes that's been working with the Ethereum community is called Kite. He basically, like Kitty, he basically created those NFTs to fundraise capital to say thank you to the developers of EAP 1559. And he sold it for, I think, for like 0.1559 ETH, which is like, how much is that? $300 at the time, something like that. So basically, he made 1,559 of those NFTs. And basically, everyone that has this NFT, it's almost like a badge of honor of like, I supported the EAP 1559. I was there when it happened. So basically, if I'm bullish on EAP 1559 being a part of history, being cemented in the history books as one of the core things that changed Ethereum, going from, no top cap, like they say, like no maximum cap, to maximum cap. Like if it's gonna be one of the main catalysts that took Ethereum from $2,000 to 10, 20,000 bucks. If I'm bullish on that, I could buy that NFT thinking that like in the future, the price could go up. So that's kind of like the thesis that you could have behind it, right? So that's the proof of attendance NFTs. Like if you have CryptoPunks, it shows that you're a man of culture, because you either were there early on or you're rich, So it's kind of like, oh, look, I'm rich, right? So it's those two things. And then you have like those proof of attendance, right? So if you bought NFTs from 2018, it shows that you're a man of culture, like you were either rich or you were there early on. So you kind of understand what you're doing. So I think this is really a big deal. So the NFT collections that I look at are those that are timeless and those that will be remembered in history. Like, will this have meaning in 5 years from now? So if I buy a Beeple NFT, like the Beeple, the artist, right? I'm kind of asking myself, is he going to be remembered in history like 10, 20 years from now? Is he really going to be there? Easy, and the question is like, and then you look at it like, for example, Beeple has been making digital art for like 20 years, and he's been making like it for 13 years every day. Like he's been making that for 13 years. He's probably going to be here in 13 years from now. He's probably not going anywhere. He has a big audience. He already made a big splash in NFTs. Like you cannot talk about NFT history 10 years from now, I think, without talking about Beeple's $69 million NFT sale, or even one of the guys that took NFTs to a new level of mainstream awareness. So I think owning some of that is a good bet, right? So you have CryptoPunks, which is obviously the first collection. You have Beeple first collections, which are pretty good. You have different artists in the crypto world that people don't know about. Like there's this artist called Kitty. I own some of his NFTs, and basically he didn't make that many. And he's been an Ethereum designer since 2016. He basically was supporting them since 2016, and he made those NFTs. And he was also chosen by Ethereum a lot of times to do certain things. So like, for example, he was chosen by the Ethereum community to make the AP1559 NFTs. Like he has this kind of status inside the Ethereum community. So if I'm bullish on Ethereum, I think his art could be worth a lot as well. So we have that. And then also we have, so after CryptoKitty, we also have artists like Xcopy, which I never heard about until I Googled. There's like a dude that was making NFTs since 2018. And his NFTs have went up in value a lot. So I think the question of which NFTs now is the question of like which NFTs will still be cool in 5 to 10 years from now. So that's something that you need to go down. You need to kind of dig deep, find those NFTs. And what I've done is I've bookmarked them. And then when the market's going to go into an NFT bear market, and I'm going to feel more comfortable like buying, there's less hype, then I'll go and I'll buy those NFTs. But right now I'm kind of patiently watching from the sidelines because I don't think it's the right time to FOMO into NFTs. And I could be wrong. Like we could 2x from here, and then we could have a 50% drop to where we are right now. Like that could happen too. So I'm okay with missing out. I'm okay with missing that, being patient, like putting bids, like something that I've tried to do is I've tried to put bids on NFTs at roughly like half of the market price, and none of them got accepted. Because like if the value of something's 2 ETH and I bid for it 1 ETH, then yeah, most chances it's probably not going to work. But I've done it 10 times, and you never know. Like some of them might get accepted in the future or something like that. So I'm kind of being that cautious investor that I am, and that's the approach that worked for me. So that's kind of been my strategies I learned with NFTs. But for the average investor as well, like if you're just a retail guy, you have less than 50K in crypto, less than 100K in crypto, it's just a very dangerous game. Like my dad, I'm not going to get him into NFTs. I'm just like, Dad, just hold ETH and chill. There's no need to like dabble in all this risk and so on, But if he had like a lot more, then I'll be like, okay, you might want to get something.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you is where does this kind of fit into an overall cryptocurrency strategy? So it seems like this is something for once you have a certain amount that you could potentially consider adding more. This isn't something that's going to completely replace all cryptocurrency, all DeFi. This is something to kind of add to what you're already doing.
Yeah, so I will say, like, even if you have 50K in crypto, like you could still buy NFTs. Like there's still good money to be made with it. Like you could buy NFTs, like for example, the AP1559 NFTs, they were costing like $300 in the beginning, so people could buy them pretty easily. So And right now, I think they're about 2x from the mint price. So the mint price was like 0.1559 ETH, and right now it's 0.3. So it almost doubled basically versus ETH. So that's a big deal. So I think anyone can go into NFTs. I just think that for people, basically like the cheap stuff is really risky and the expensive stuff is pretty safe. So I think that like for someone who also doesn't, like if someone has like less than 50K in crypto or something, they probably are relatively new or they're not that sure what they're doing. Otherwise they would have had more by now, right? So I mean, for people like that who are new, it's just very risky. So you're going into cheap NFTs, you're not really sure what you're doing. I think there's the risk reward there is not really that ideal. Whereas for people like us who've been in the space for a few years, who've been through the cycle, seen the hype, the euphoria, the fear and the greed, like we kind of know what those cycles, we have a much better feeling and instinct because we've been through that a lot of times. So when I saw CryptoPunks, I had that instinct, whereas a lot of people didn't. So I think if I was new to crypto at the time, I don't know if I would have had that hunch for punks, for example. So I think it comes down to a matter of just risk. And I saw this guy who bought an alien punk for $8 million. He said on Twitter, his name is Perugia. He said, I think it was either him or a DC investor, I forget who it was, but they said they think that cheap NFTs tend to be very overvalued and expensive NFTs tend to be very undervalued, which is very counterintuitive, which is why that's the case. So I think that's why another reason where I think if someone has less than 100K in crypto, collecting NFTs is probably not the best bet. Like I would say probably the best bet is probably like buy Ethereum, buy some Cardano, and then just focus on making money outside of crypto or get a job in crypto, which is what I did.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about Cardano and Ethereum in a minute. Last thing I want to know about NFTs, where are you buying, selling, and looking at NFTs?
Sure. So that's a good question. Let me show you basically DC investor gallery. I'm going to open it right now. I'm going to share my screen. 1 second. Okay, good. All right. Can you see this gallery by DC Investor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet. So basically where I'm buying, it's pretty simple. It's just like OpenSea. It's just like the go-to place to be at, right? So OpenSea has a lot of those very interesting things. Very, very straightforward. Not too much to say about that, right? Just OpenSea. Now, the way that I look for NFTs is I look for kind of like thought leaders in the space and I look at what they're buying. So that would be Gary Vee, that would be DC Investor, that would be Kevin Rose is pretty big, that would be Perugia. It would be like any of the people that they're kind of like NFT native. So I'm going to put them here. We have this, we also had Perugia. Perugia is pretty good. Okay, so for example, we have like this ape owner, right? You know that the dude is an ape. So like he basically he's like a multimillionaire. His ape alone is probably worth like $5-10 million. So you know the dude is like really smart. So you look at what they're doing, you read what they're doing, and then you kind of see their NFTs that they're holding. So for example, in his case, like I can see here, I go to his pinned tweet and I can see, I guess this is some art gallery, right? So I'm looking at these NFTs and I'm going to look at what he's holding. So let me see here. Okay, so I have some stuff here. Okay, so I have some NFTs that he owns, right? So I can look at that and I can kind of explore that and I can try to look for things that are really expensive. So for example, here we got, I think this is X Copies art I recognize here. This is pretty good. So I kind of find like those OG stuff because the OGs know about it right here, created by X Copy. And then you have here some different pieces of art. You have like here, X Copy. You have here some generative art. I think some art block stuff somewhere here, I'm guessing. So you're going to find those patterns. And basically, so for example, I can look at things that this ape is bullish on 4156. I'm going to look at things that Perugia is bullish on, like things that he owns as well. I'm going to look at things that DC Investor is bullish in that he owns as well. And I'm going to cross those. And the things that they're all holding, I know have a good chance of doing really well. So this is something that I've done in crypto, whereas like 2 years ago, everyone was bullish on Bitcoin. Everyone smart that I respected was bullish on Bitcoin. And then last year, everyone smart that I respected was bullish on Ethereum, or almost everyone. And then now I'm doing the same thing with NFTs where everybody's bullish on CryptoPunks. Everyone's smart in the NFT space. So I'm always looking for those crosses because this gives me like the low risk, high reward opportunity because not many people are against it, right? So if I know there's like, it's kind of like having like smart advisors. You just look at what they're holding and this gives you an idea.
That's
So yeah, I'm just
that's
gonna
pretty
scroll.
crazy. I was listening to this book on Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, and Warren Buffett said before he would go buy any company, he would go talk to every other company in the same business and ask them, if you had to buy a company in your field other than your own company, which one would you buy? And that's basically what you're doing right there. That's brilliant.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know he would do that. Yeah, that's pretty smart, right? So you look at like in crypto, it's all transparent. So you can see what, well, it's not all transparent, but you can see what people are bullish on from their Twitter account. And I think it kind of lowers the risk, right? And then by the way, like for example, DC Investor, speaking about timing, if you go to his Twitter feed, you'll see that he says again and again that he's careful right now with NFTs. He says there's a lot of froth right now in the market, so he'll be careful with FOMOing in, right? So that's another piece of advice that's good. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna look at what they're doing. Like this dude, like bought an alien, did really well with that, and I can see what they're doing. I can read their feeds and all that. So for example, he's big into autoglyphs, which are super expensive right now. He has some color glyphs, and then he has a lot of X copy. You can see this is all X copy. This weird style X copy. This is some generative art that I don't know. It's called a Spectron Genesis. So I can just go and I could look at it. He has a lot of ringers. He really likes. I don't like ringers. And another thing when you collect art, like try to buy things that you like. Try to buy things that are cool, because that's going to give you the diamond hands to hold it when the market drops, and not to paper hand sell it. So I don't like ringers, for example, but I like X copy. I think it's pretty dope. So that's something I'm going to look into more. We got some squiggly lines, which I think are kind of okay. Whatever. We got these pieces of art here that are absolutely beautiful. So this might be a bit interested. We got this chrome squiggly. And a lot of those things, like if you just would have seen this collection and bought it like a few months back, like you would have done amazingly well. There's some more generative art, like those fidenzas, those are really cool. So I think we have here some 3D like generative art, which is pretty cool as well. So those are kind of doing some generative art, but in a 3D manner, which is very interesting as well. If you don't know what's generative art, it's basically the artist writes an algorithm where it randomly runs a certain program, a certain script, and it creates a different art piece every time. So basically, like it's kind of like you could have the same algorithm and then you run it 10,000 times and you get 10,000 different pieces of art. It's pretty amazing. So this is the entire idea of the art blocks, the generative movement. This is something that I didn't know until recently as well, until like 2 weeks ago or something. So you have that. There's some more stuff here. This one's actually pretty beautiful. I really like the singularity one. It's actually really nice. And this is all algorithmically created. Like this is pretty crazy. We got some CryptoPunks. We got some NFT collection here that I don't know. I could dig into it. We got some me bits. And then
Last
the
question that
space
I
is
wanted
like
to ask.
exciting.
What's the liquidity like with buying and selling these? Is it really dependent upon the demand for that particular piece? I mean, because like a lot of people are buying with the intention of selling sometime in the future. Is it close to as easy to buy and sell as cryptocurrency, or is it really dependent upon the piece and what you're pricing it at?
Sure. So basically the short answer is that floor price stuff, like the cheapest stuff of every collection, is pretty liquid unless you go really niche, unless you go into something that we never heard about, right? Or something that there's not many pieces of. So for example, CryptoPunks, you could see that they sell like every hour, like one of them is selling roughly, like every 2 hours, one of them is selling. You see 1 hour, 1 hour, 1 hour, 2 hours ago, 3 hours, 6 hours, right? So you see them selling. So you know that the cheapest ones, they're pretty liquid. I've sold some before because I wanted to buy other ones and they sold like within less than 24 hours, but those were like the cheapest ones at the time. But if I bought a CryptoPunk, like a bit more expensive, like this, or even if I go higher like this or this, it's going to take a lot longer to sell just because not many people can afford that. And then people are always looking at the cheapest. So just be aware that you want to buy the floor prices if you need the money, like in the next month, like you want to buy like closer to floor prices, I would say. And then, for example, if you look at MeBits, they also have the same thing. Like if you go on OpenSea, you could see, you can look at the activity and you can see the volume of trading. So you can get an idea for how much it sells or how much it doesn't. So for example, the Beeple NFTs, they're really illiquid. Like you might need to hold it for months before you can sell it. So you have to be really careful with what you're buying. And that's another reason I'm cautious with them. So it depends, but basically like me bits, you have 20,000 of them. The cheapest price I think is like 2 ETH for something. So, and they're pretty popular. So like if you buy ones like cheaply, you could probably get out fairly quickly. And yeah, it doesn't load right now, but basically you can see on OpenSea, you can see the volume of trading, and you could have an idea of how liquid it is, which is something I encourage everyone. Before you buy whatever you buy, just check the liquidity, just see how many people are buying, what's the volume. This is pretty important.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about Cardano and Ethereum. The last time we spoke, you were very, very bullish on both of them, and you were pretty spot on with your predictions for both of them. And I don't know, it seems like they could continue rallying from where they are now.
Yeah. So last time we talked, I think it was around the bearish correction we had somewhere around here, right? I'm guessing. Okay. So yeah. Ethereum and Cardano have been both like big winners, obviously. And the thing is with Ethereum, you just have like this beautiful double bottom here. On the channel also covered that we had like strong reversal signs here. We had the yellow candle right at the bottom, which is very bullish. We had it also on the 12 hours as well.
What is that indicator that you're using there that changes the candle colors?
So this is a custom indicator that I have. It's called SCMR that I have. I think it cost $300 or something, but the guy actually stopped selling it or something. Like the guy actually went completely MIA. Like he definitely disappeared. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, I have this indicator, and then that was really good, right? We saw just multiple signs of bullishness. And then once Ethereum also crossed like the 50-day and the 200-day moving average, that was also a confirmation. Once it crossed both of them, those really bullish signs like 2,200.
And also you were talking about EIP 1559 for a long time. That definitely had some impacts.
Yeah. Yeah, we had some huge rally leading up to it as people kind of like, well, I think the market was mostly oversold, and then it just started rallying up to it. So I think EIP 1559 was, I don't know if it like mattered to me as much as the chart. Like for me, like EIP 1559, this is starting to become really bullish probably around September, October. Like we need a few months for the effect on price to take place. We need a few months for the supply to be, kind of swallowed by EIP 1559, but to be absorbed by that. So I think right now is just kind of like market narrative. We had a lot of people that were just shorting. A lot of people were shorting at the bottom, which is really funny always. I'll show you. Like you just see people like always shorting at the bottom. It's just like, bro, how are you gonna get rich like that? Let me find that here. You just can see that it was super simple. You see this here, just negative, negative, negative. People are shorting, going long, long, long. Right? You see here negative at the COVID crash, right near the bottom. Negative, right? That was the bottom. See here, over here, that was also a bottom. It's just every time when you see consistent periods of like negative funding, it's just the bottom. Like every time, like that's the case, like no exceptions almost. So, I mean, you're always going to find an exception, but I think it's a pretty strong sign. So yeah, I went long really over here, but I was mostly holding most of my position just through the entire move. I was just really not phased that much by it. And then also once this move started, you can see that so many people were outside of Ethereum because you can see that there were no dips. Like it just went up in a straight line. Like here we had one dip and then like another massive rally, right? So before we even had like a proper like few day dip, I mean, Ethereum rallied, how much is that? Like 84%. This just shows you like how much pain there was in the market from people that were missing and just buying back in. And you can see it on the chart, which is why it was going vertical like this, because so many people missed out. So basically right now, still bullish on both of them. We called it out on this channel again and again pretty well. I mean, even once we hit it over here, I was pretty bullish on this. I was saying this range was going to break out because we saw this kind of like ascending like lows on the daily as well. And we kind of saw like a ascending triangle, which is a bullish pattern, and it broke up. And then also recently, yesterday, we saw this dip getting bought as well. So we had a dip and it got bought all the way back up very quickly as well. And you could also have seen on the liquidation side, you would have seen that you had a lot of people that opened a lot of shorts on the move down. So basically what it means is that the price went down and then a bunch of people opened shorts over here. And then the big boys, the whales, they just pushed them out, right? So they opened the shorts and then they got liquidated when they pushed the price right back up. So you see how we had a lot of shorts open here and then later it went lower. So basically this was a really bullish time to enter as well once we saw this. And I called it on the channel as well. And you can see whenever you have a lot of shorts that open, like here, you see I have all these. I know this chart, by the way, is really confusing the first time. I know it's like super confusing, but basically you have the price right? It's going up and down, up and down. And then over time, you have those bubbles of liquidity that are open. So basically what it means is, okay, so basically here the price went down, and you can see how on the way down, you had a lot of those bubbles that open, like you see those bubbles here, those are all shorts bubbles because they're above the current price. So basically people open shorts and then their liquidation is above the current price. So if you open a short at 40,000, your liquidation could be at 42,000. So you see all those bubbles open, and then after that, they pull the price right back up. And this is when the price hits those bubbles, when he takes them out, people get liquidated. So people open the shorts here and then they got liquidated and then went up, right? So you just see those shenanigans again and again. You just see people getting wrecked left, right, and center in leverage trading because those are people that are using like 50x, 100x, 25x leverage, like really like degen gamblers kind of leverage. And look, it's fine if you know what you're doing, but most people here don't know what they're doing. So they're just going to get liquidated.
I think that's,
and basically, if you could just play here, yeah.
I think that's really interesting on the chart that like with that double bottom there, nobody really opened up longs until the price already passed the confirmation point. Like the middle peak of the double bottom, it looks like nobody opened up longs until well after that.
Yeah, so I think it's also because I'm looking at Binance, and I think the smartest traders, I don't know if they're on Binance, I think they're on FTX, and I think also most of the traders are not smart. So you're just going to see a lot of bad trades here, and they're just going to, yeah, people just don't know really what they're doing. Like they see that the price is crashing and then they're going to short. Like they're basically chasing the trend, which is usually a bad idea. So, and you see it all the time. Like here, same thing. You see the price is crashing and then you see all those bubbles of shorts that are being opened. And you can see it says shorts over there. So it's just going to happen again and again. So basically what I'm saying is that this was another bullish sign to me that we're going to continue higher. And then also for Bitcoin, we had something similar. You had price was going down, you had shorts open here, and then they got taken out. So you see what happened here, they went down, they took the liquidity around over here, they liquidated them, and they rallied right back up. So basically like they took everyone, they took out both the longs, you had your longs that opened on the move up, right? They took them out, right? The price went down, they got liquidated. And then you had shorts that opened on the way down, and then they pushed it right back up. So everybody got liquidated, basically. It was a beautiful, beautiful sea of blood, basically. On the chart.
I saw this chart from Raoul Paul like a month or so ago, where he was comparing Ethereum to the previous Bitcoin price chart, and based on that, it looks like Ethereum could head towards $20,000 this year. Do you think that's something that's reasonable? Do you think that's something in the future? Because I know also you've pointed out that thing from the article from Arthur Hayes about if any of the money from the banks and the major firms can move into Ethereum, we could be looking at like a $4 million Ethereum. So what are your thoughts on Ethereum for the rest of this cycle?
Yeah, it was $4 million per ETH if 100% of the centralized finance goes into ETH. But then keep in mind also that if ETH is deflationary, then the price per ETH is going to be a lot higher. It could be even like 6 million, like not going to be 6 million, but it might be like 5 million or something crazy like that. So in 5 years from now. So what I'm saying is like, yeah, the potential for that is vast. And that's why my target for ETH over the next 10 years is really something like $500,000, $1 million. That's kind of like my target. But the thoughts with Raoul Paul 20K ETH this year definitely makes sense. And then in addition to that, it actually should be more than 20K if you use that comparison. So basically, Raoul Paul was showing that ETH is growing just as fast as Bitcoin on the technical side of things, like just the price, just the charts. You're showing the growth, similar growth to BTC. But if you look on the fundamental side, you also have VIP 155 now burning ETH. Bitcoin didn't have that. And then also for ETH, you have just a massive growth on top of it. You have NFTs, you have DeFi, you have gaming right now exploding. Bitcoin had neither of that. So I think this is really bullish catalyst, and why I think 20K ETH this year, but I also think good chance like we'll see higher. Like if we're going to see 30K ETH, I'm not going to be that surprised. So yeah, I'm basically like a mega moon boy on ETH, like everybody listens already figured out. It just, the fundamentals look good, and yeah, the chart, like what Raoul Paul did, like that's one of the reasons I feel so comfortable being in ETH. You just see that the growth is faster. And it looks good. And by the way, like something that's also interesting is like, if you look at the growth of ETH, you could also look at the growth of ETH competitors. Like for example, like we saw right now, Solana is pumping really hard. So you can see that Solana is starting to have that growth versus ETH as well. So you have like ETH outperforming Bitcoin, but then you also start to see things like Solana outperforming Ethereum. So I think those are interesting things to watch as well in the crypto space. You kind of find those, but then obviously like the smaller they are, the riskier they are. So Solana might be outperforming Ethereum now, but it might fail. You know, I'm not saying it will happen. I don't think it will happen, but I'm saying there's a higher chance of that. So you always want to find those faster growths, those faster like bubbles of growth, and you just want to like literally join the rocket ship and do well in that sense.
Mm-hmm. So one rocket ship going off right now is Cardano, because they're talking about smart contracts by I think September 12th or something like that. What are your thoughts on Cardano right now?
Bro, Cardano, I think I saw a trader, like a very rich guy on Twitter. He said Cardano, I would not underestimate Cardano because yes, they might be lacking in terms of the fundamentals, but they might meme it into memality, basically into reality. So I think that Cardano has so many things lacking right now in terms of development. Like if you think about it fundamentally, like Solana should be worth more than Cardano because Solana has so much more adoption, right? And I have no Solana, by the way. But I'm saying that because Cardano has all of this hype and because people are like looking at Charles Hoskinson like the long lost son of, you know, Ethereum and like the next Ethereum killer builder, I think that Cardano could be continued to be memed like higher from here. So I think that I would not be short like the Cardano community and the Cardano price because it's been outperforming Ethereum in that sense for a while now. So it's hard to ignore that as well. And then also the Cardano versus ETH chart is also looking very good. So I'm holding like much more ETH because I'm more comfortable in ETH. But if you just look at the chart, the Cardano chart is looking better versus ETH because you can see here, this is the Cardano versus ETH chart. And you'll see that over here it went through this like pretty much like long accumulation. This is like 4-year accumulation, 3.5-year accumulation. And then started with like the higher lows pattern here. So you can see that it's just going higher and higher, right? So I would, and then it flipped the previous resistance level here, this resistance. This is like a multi-year resistance level that it flipped into support. And then it had some fake outs and then every fake out got bought up. So you can see that Cardano over the last 5 months, 6 months actually, it's also been spending most of the time above this trend line rather than below. Like you can see those are almost like deviations because most of the time we've been above it. So this is basically was Cardano on sale, and then it rallied, right? So this is bullish on this. So I wouldn't short the Cardano community. And then also I wouldn't short the Cardano chart right now because it looks very, very good. And look at Cardano versus Bitcoin. I mean, it's the most obvious chart in the world. I mean, you just see like multi-bear market, multi-year accumulation, basically bear market, followed by this kind of like bottoming pattern and just taking the stairs up to new all-time highs. So yeah, so I think I'm very bullish on Cardano as well. I think we'll see at least $5 Cardano this year, possibly 10, 20 bucks. I mean, 20 bucks is maybe a bit on the higher end, but maybe 10 bucks, I'll say is a good chance it will happen. And I'm also curious about, I think also it's important for people to remember, I see a lot of people that are kind of like Ethereum maximalists. They're kind of saying like, oh, Cardano has nothing built. And they're kind of right. But you have to remember that in crypto, like a lot of it is just narrative. A lot of it is speculation, a lot of it. And like if tomorrow 10,000 investors wake up and they FOMO into Cardano and they, you know, tattoo Hoskinson on their forehead, like Cardano is going to outperform Ethereum. So you know, like it's going to happen. So yeah. I think, like I said, you just find those sports of growth and you just want to ride them.
I want to see somebody with a Hoskinson tattoo on their forehead. I want to see that. Yeah, that'd be great. Cool. Yeah, so we've talked about NFTs, we've talked about Ethereum, we've talked about Cardano. Anything else you see going on in the market that you think is really interesting for people to know right now?
I think, let me think. I think crypto gaming is just going really well. I'm not really sure what to say about that. We saw a lot of hype for that. I just think that people realized that crypto gaming is here to stay. So I would try to get some exposure. Like you could just hold Ethereum, but it's a problem because Axie Infinity is kind of like already left the station.
Dude, so I'm the most excited about crypto gaming that I've been in a while because like I've been a gamer for years, but it's always you buy the system, you buy the games, and then they're worthless after you play them pretty much. But like with crypto gaming, you play the game and then you can make more and more money from it. Like I think that was my dream as a kid, to like be able to play video games and make money, but it was a very small profession back then. Nowadays anybody can do that. And like I just covered Illuvium earlier last week, how that's like potentially going to be one of the competitors for Axie Infinity. They have, it's the brother of Synthetics, who's the co-founder. They have developers from BioShock, from The Last of Us, from a bunch of other big games. And it's basically you play this game, you earn NFTs, and then you can level them up, battle them against other NFTs, and then you can sell them if you want. It's like the ultimate in terms of gaming. So I think that I'm really bullish on the future of gaming, crypto gaming.
That's dope. And Illuvium founder is the brother of the Synthetics founder, really? Like of Kane Warwick? Okay, cool stuff. Yeah. Wow, man, I didn't know that. Some talented family they got there.
Yeah, I know. It's a pretty crazy thing. And plus it's not even out yet. So it comes out in a few months. So like it's probably going to be one of the top competitors for Axie Infinity when it comes out, because right now Axie Infinity is all by itself up there.
Right. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. So yeah, if you look at the internet, the things that took it mainstream, cat videos, gaming, I think like adult websites took it pretty extreme, casinos, I think so. I think those are kind of the sectors that I would look at to take crypto mainstream. But right now it's pretty obvious like what it's going to be. It's going to be gaming. It's going to be NFTs. It's probably not going to be DeFi. People don't really give a shit about earning like higher interest on their money. Like the average person is not financial literate enough to care about that. And I think the people that are smart enough kind of are already in crypto. I think so. I think because people want to make money, right? So I think if someone was looking for higher earnings on their money, like they would be in crypto by now anyways. So I don't think there's a bigger audience from that.
I think there's a little bit. So like my one thing with DeFi that I just found out about a couple months ago that I think could potentially be the future of DeFi is loans that pay themselves off. So like Alchemix is a project where you take out a loan and it pays itself off, and you can never get liquidated. And like that, I think could potentially be the future of DeFi, because it's like, yes, maybe if you don't have the money and you qualify, you could borrow from a bank. But if you already have the assets, you can take out a loan, never have to worry about losing your initial capital. So like everybody who's in crypto right now, this is the perfect opportunity. And then you take out a loan and it pays itself off in a number of years.
Right. But I mean, for people that are normies to go and like get money in crypto and get a lot of money in crypto, it's probably not something they're going to do. Whereas if someone tells them like, hey, bro, like you create this video game and makes like $10 an hour, like that's going to be a lot more exciting. And I think if you show them like, hey, bro, you want this cute picture of a penguin? Like people will say I think it's really important to remember like just how dumb the average person is. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you just understand like how shallow and like unintelligent like the average person is. And you see that in crypto as well. Like you see people FOMOing on stuff all over again. And I'm not saying it's bad. Like a lot of people make a lot of money on dumb stuff, but I'm just saying that I think we always have those big expectations, like the average person, like, oh, DeFi, like they'll get a loan and like they'll do cool. And then the average person is like, bro, like I don't know, the average person like eats at McDonald's like every day. I don't know, like it's just not the most like financially literate people in the world. And I think once you understand that, then you kind of look at like, okay, gaming and NFTs and all that are very exciting, bro. Like every celebrity that goes into crypto and does an NFT drop, I mean, gets like tens of thousands of people into crypto, like even hundreds of thousands, depending on the size of their audience. Like it really spreads very, very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting space. I feel like last summer was DeFi summer. This is NFT summer. I'm wondering what next summer will be.
Gaming summer? I don't know, man. But we're here to find out. We're not going anywhere, and
hopefully it won't. Hopefully it won't be bear market summer. You know.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm like, we can talk about it another time, but basically like I think that the super cycle this time around is much more likely than it was last times. And I would give it like, I would say there's like a 40% chance we have a super cycle and like everybody sells and then they're like left behind and they never buy back in. I'll say there's a good chance this will happen as well. I see, like we had the .com bubble, like after the .com bubble burst, like we just had a super cycle all the way up. So that's so yeah, I wouldn't be so sure about the bear market. Like if even in a bear market, people are going to do NFT drops, people are going to play video games. People are going to gamble. People are going to use DeFi, like some of them, right? Like the crypto native people. So I think that a typical bear market, I don't know if we're going to see it.
Mm, that's good news. Good news for everybody in crypto.
No, no holiday, no holiday. We need to keep working. I'm a little bit like, whew, it's been intense. Like, yeah, so
Mhm.
I'm enjoying it, but I'm like, oh man, like at least when you have a bear market, you kind of feel good with like working less. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I remember back, I'm coming up on my 4-year anniversary on YouTube. It's coming up the 21st, so in 5 days. And yeah, and I remember
Wow.
like back in the day, crypto YouTubers would post a couple videos a week. And then there was Crypto Daily who started posting every day. So then it became the norm to post like every day. Now it's like twice a day, 4 times a day. It's just like insane the amount of content that gets pushed out nowadays.
Yeah, I started making 4 videos a day when I started out on YouTube, just to kind of get like my foot in the door. And that worked really well. And now I just stick with like 2 videos a day. And I think that also works really well. I think I have a lot more opportunities because I do those 2 videos a day. And for me, like I can cover a lot more startups that I invest in as well. So I think that difference between 1 to 2 videos a day is huge. I think it's more than double in the impact, I think. And yeah, it's been really meaningful for me. And I think like for me, when I approach projects and I say like I can help you get exposure to your crypto startup on YouTube, I could say like I get more than 1 million views a month. Whereas if I was making like 1 video a day, I would tell them I get like more than 500,000 views a month. So it just doesn't sound the same. So I think it makes a big difference, and yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Doing 7 days a week, like 2 videos a day for months, like you gotta be into
I
it.
know, right? I haven't had a day off in almost a year. Yeah, you got it. Cool. Um, well, dude, it's been an absolute pleasure. I always love these chats that we have. And for anybody who's on my channel, you can check out Veer's channel, Crypto FOMO. I'll post links in the description and the pinned comment. And then
Yeah,
we'll
and I'll
catch
do the
you.
same with your channel as well. Everyone that want to check out Crypto Love on YouTube, make sure to check him out. And he's been covering like some very good projects as well, like pretty early on. I started covering some projects before they exploded, so always some good content as well.
Awesome. Great to see you, Devere. I'll catch you again later.
Okay, much love. Bye bye, everyone. Thank you for watching. Bye bye, everyone.